Um, all right, so Mario hasn't changed, but the code has a little bit. Um, we can now tell if the object that we're interacting with when we're checking is a player or not. That collision detection happens in main, um, and it happens right here. This script is very inefficient. What it does is that for every object in the world, so it checks every object in the world, every frame, it does this. So it cycles through every object, and for each one of them, it again cycles through every object. So if there's 12 objects, then it will check all 12 of them 12 times. So object A, it checks to see if it checks A against objects A, objects B, object C, and then for object B, it checks it against A, B, C. So it's really inefficient because if you compare the apple to the orange, then later checking the orange to the apple, it's the same comparison. You make every comparison twice at least. It's really inefficient. We'll make that work better later. Right now, with just a few entities, it's not that big of a deal. But it is not a very good script here. Or even a way of going about it, where everything's all in one bag. There's the objects in the world. But we'll fix that later. Right now, we want to clean this up, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to eliminate the comment that I had from a previous stage of development. I'm going to check where we make sure that the two objects that we're looking at aren't actually the same object. So it's not like when the mushroom is touching the mushroom, you know. We want to check things versus other things. So that's what that makes sure of. That seems to close here, so all this stuff after that, I am going to sort of, well, I need to see that. This goes to here, so I'll comment all that out. I just want it there for reference, because it's not a very good script. It just sort of hobbled it together quickly. It's not very good, so we're going to start sort of from scratch, but this bit we'll fix later. Alright, so when we're looking at two objects and checking to see if they've collided and what we should do about it, maybe we should just figure out what type of objects we're dealing with. So if, let's say, world object J, I have it here, is an instance of platform. So if the first object is a platform, then maybe we'll check to see if the other one is. Platforms really shouldn't be touching, but maybe they are. I don't know. Make that K. Alright, so if they're both objects, we won't do anything. That's sort of a worthless line. I guess what we really want to do is say, okay, if object J is of type player, so if we know that one of the objects is a player, if that's the case, then we can check, is the other object a platform? And in that case, we can check to see if we're above it, I guess. So in order to do that, we need to see if we are touching it, and if we are touching it, we'll sort of stop falling. So if we're the player and we're touching a platform, what do we want to do? It's in here. We'll just, I'm going to have to look at the body component really quick. And if we have it has a method within it that says to check if some other body is within its own box. And so it just says, it runs something that tests to see if one body is touching another body. And that's called be in box. So I'm going to go back to the main, and we're going to say, so if world dot, can't tell what I'm typing, objects j, or we'll say k. So if the platform has within it the world.objects.j, the player, we have to pass in the body in order for it to perform that check. If they are touching, then we're just going to say world.objects.j.body.grounded. Oh no, it's b.grounded, isn't it? Yeah. Or b grounded will be set to true, which should shut off the gravity. Oh, I don't think we have that actually in there, so but that's good. So that code basically will say if you're dealing with a player and you're also dealing with a platform, and these things have touched, then ground the player. That's all we've done. I don't think that this is something I'm going to add, but I'm not sure that it's in there. So in the body, definition of the body, whoa, whoops. There you go. Here we go. In the definition of the body, we're going to create another variable called be grounded, and it'll be false by default. In the definition of the player was an object, so it had a body, but we're also going to say that this body, you know, it should that should have no effect, but in this part of it, where we apply the kinematics and we make the gravity affect the object, we're going to make sure that the gravity only works when if this be grounded, only if it's not grounded. So that means not. So only if you're not on the ground will you feel gravity. If you're on the ground, gravity will stop pulling you down. That's what we just did here. But we needed to create the variable be grounded in the body. Now, right now, nothing checks this. Nothing changes whether you're grounded or not. We made it start false, so you're not grounded, and nothing will ever change that. So you're always going to feel gravity. So that should have really no effect. I broke something. Did I save this? Huh. What did I break? World objects k b in box is not a function. Oh, I need to specify the body. So that's in 40. Line 40. This is part of the body of the object, and that should be good. Okay. So there you go. He didn't bounce. Once he touched the ground, he didn't come out of it at all. We can improve that, but he did stop. If I jump, it's actually pretty good. Actually, that's crazy. He shouldn't feel gravity. I don't get it. Well, that's already working when I didn't expect it to. Well, we set it to true. X.j.body.grounded equals true. So he should stop feeling gravity. He seems to. He doesn't bounce. But I guess we killed the bouncing effect when we commented all this. But he does seem to stop falling so long as he's grounded. I don't understand why he does start falling again when I jump. that's okay. So we'll try to improve it further in the next one.